What's up, collectors? Welcome back to Films by Color, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Physical Media, the weekly live show where we talk about every Blu-ray and 4K release that's coming out this week. All of these titles that we talk about this evening will be coming out tomorrow, Tuesday, April the 26th. We are already in the last week of April, and man, are all of the studios and all of the labels getting all of their releases out right before the month is over. We've got so much to talk about today. It's going to be a huge week. We've got all the boutique labels like Criterion, Kino, Lorber, Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, and a bunch more putting out stuff. And we've also got a bunch of studios like Sony and Warner Brothers dropping stuff this week. Ton of stuff to get through. I'm going to have to go pretty quick to get through everything in the time that we have. We do shoot this show, as a reminder, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we would love you to come out and join us. We always have a great time and a great conversation in the live chat. We have a little community growing here that I always enjoy talking to. I'm going to try to engage with the chat as much as I can tonight. Like I said, we have a lot to get through, but I'll talk to you as much as I can, so please go ahead and start putting your comments, questions, and suggestions in the chat, and I'll talk to you as much as I can. If you do want to completely halt the show and throw in a super chat, I will stop everything I'm doing and answer your question there. That's one way you can support the channel if you would like. Another way you can support the channel is if you go down to the description and look at all of the links that I've put down there. I've put all the Amazon links to everything that we're going to talk about today. So if you do purchase anything through those links, that will go a little bit of a way to help support the channel. I'll also leave a pinned comment with all of those links in there as well that I'll be doing right after I finish this stream. And I had one other thing that I wanted to mention tonight. I had a couple people reaching out to me asking how they could support the channel, but they didn't feel comfortable leaving a super chat. I don't know, maybe they didn't want to give YouTube their credit card information, or they, I don't know, didn't want YouTube to take a cut or whatever, but there is one other way you can do that, and I feel a little weird even bringing it up because I know some people are going to think it's kind of begging for money. So please don't feel like you need to listen to this at all. But if you go to my channel page, right here on my Linktree, I have, like some other creators, I have my Amazon wish list linked here, and you can click that link, and there's just a ton of physical media in there that I'm eventually hoping to buy. If you want to go ahead and purchase any of those, they will be sent to me immediately. You don't even need to get my address from me, and then I will absolutely make a video about it when it comes to me. That's a more personal way you can support the channel. You can actually pick what you want to be in a video instead of just giving money. But please, like I said, don't feel obligated at all. That was just for those people who were asking for a way that they could support the channel. But enough of that icky promotional crap that I don't like talking about. Let's go ahead and see who's here in the chat. A lot of people here already. We've got And Now This is here. Evil Wax is here, says hi DJ and everyone. CG Anime Fan is here. Jeffrey Patron is here. David Albee is here. John Mulaney. I just called him John Mulaney. Sorry. John is here. My good friend John. Just had dinner with him last night, actually. He's going to love that I messed up his name again. JT is here. Kevin House is here. Everybody's here. A lot of people showing up. Let's go ahead and start jumping into the releases, though, because I don't want to waste too much time here at the top. Let's go over to the other monitor. And here we are on Blu-ray.com. First one here, very highly anticipated release from a person who works in the film industry that I've never seen a film directed by. This is Phase 4 getting a 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome, and this is directed by Saul Bass. I was actually talking to Connor about this earlier today, which is a very interesting release because I didn't know Saul Bass had directed anything. Maybe I'm just completely out of the loop, but apparently there's a lot of people who have been wanting this release for a while, and it's finally getting a release through Vinegar Syndrome. We've got a couple Vinegar Syndrome releases to talk about this evening. I'll go ahead and show you the slipcover. Wow, it's a huge image. Maybe I won't show you that. It looks like it's the same as the regular artwork, so let me just show you that one instead. There it is. It's ants in the form of a skull, and I have no idea what this movie's about. I just know that it's directed by Saul Bass, which caught my attention. I'm assuming it's a horror film. Yep, horror thriller with a little bit of sci-fi in there. So interesting. I do like horror films that are kind of scientific and biological in nature, more so than like serial killers. So that is pretty interesting to me. I don't know. I've never bought a Vinegar Syndrome release directly from them. I've only got them secondhand, but it does look like you can get it from Amazon. for $49.99. So that's a 70s horror film, and there's 2 cuts on there. So that's really interesting. That is the most anticipated and most popular release that we're going to talk about this evening, according to Blu-ray.com, which ranks these by popularity. And then some of the other Vinegar Syndrome releases that are also coming out today. This is another 74 film called Spanish Bloodbath, which is 3 movies on this set. We've got Night of the Skull, Violent Bloodbath, and The Fish with the Eyes of Gold. These are all on Blu-ray, and this is a limited edition slipcover in original pressing, like Vinegar Syndrome always does. They're the ones that really got the limited edition slipcovers going. So yeah, we've got the, I'm nervous to click on the slips of these because I don't know if they're gonna be, okay, it's the same artwork. Okay, nothing inappropriate on that one, but that is coming out. Another 70s horror film. And then we've got The Playgirls and the Vampire, and a 60s, interesting, 60s horror film. Looks like it is, I don't know. I was gonna say French, but I'm not sure. I guess I don't want to say that until, oh, it's Italian, interesting. Italian 60s horror film. Again, limited edition slipcover, but you can buy it from Amazon right now. And then the last one from Vinegar Syndrome that we'll talk about for right now is called 5 Card Stud, which is another Blu-ray release, limited edition, and it is a Western mystery film. So completely different. I'm sure there's some thriller elements to it, but yeah, we've got a Western and a mystery film. So Vinegar Syndrome dropping a bunch of stuff right before the month is over. We've also got another big label, Criterion, dropping a couple things. The most prominent of which I would say not prominent, I guess popular, would be To Die For, which is getting a 4K release. This is a 1995 film. It's listed as a comedy, a crime, a dark humor, and a drama. So a dark comedy / drama film with a little bit of crime. This sounds like something my wife would actually really like. She loves dark comedies and she loves crime films. So that's To Die For, getting a 4K release from Criterion. It's probably also getting a Blu-ray release as well, and you can buy that on Amazon, or you can go ahead and get it from Criterion's site. Maybe a pickup for the upcoming July sale, which is right around the corner. Like I said, we're almost all the way in April already. I'll quickly go through the other Criterion releases, and then I'll jump over into the chat and see what people are saying. We've got Sain Omer is the other Criterion release that's dropping today. This is a 2022 film, very recent film. It's a French film, and it is just a straight-up drama about a novelist who attends the trial of Lawrence Colley at the Saint Omer Criminal Court to use her story to write a modern-day adaptation of the ancient myth of Medea, but things don't go as expected. So a straightforward drama there, but referencing some myth, which is always interesting to me. And that is at the $28 price. It's 15% off right now on Amazon. It's only $28 because that one is just the Blu-ray. So we've got a Blu-ray and a 4K coming out from Criterion this week. So maybe check out your local Barnes & Nobles starting tomorrow. See if they have those in, because like I said, those are dropping soon. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. We've got Jar Jar Ed popping in. I didn't see you earlier. That's cool. Welcome to the stream. I learned there are certain titles with better 4K releases in the UK and Europe than the US version. I experienced this with The Fifth Element, Carrie, and Braveheart. Yeah, man, it is tough. I try my best to do research, as much research as I can, or mostly just watching videos on YouTube, before I make the decision on which release I want, because I do want, if I'm going to spend money to have something in my permanent collection, I do want to try to get the best version out there, but it's tough, man. It's very tough. Sometimes you have to pick between the best transfer and the best supplements or the best packaging. Yeah, it gets sticky sometimes, but they're all pretty good. They're all pretty great. Dan's Den, Phase 4, the only film directed by Saul Bass. Okay, so I'm not totally out there on that one. The legendary title designer behind Hitchcock and Scorsese's best intros. It's not bad. Yeah, he's awesome. I learned about him. Little known fact about me, I went to school for visual effects and motion graphics for half of my college years before I switched over into graphic and web design towards the end. But I took a lot of motion graphic classes, like titles classes, like film titles, and we did we learned a lot about Saul Bass. So that's why I know him. I didn't know he was a director, but it looks like he's only done one film, so that makes sense. And then Dan also says To Die For is amazing. Yeah, I know that's a big one. That's a very popular one that people are very excited about. And it sounds like something I'm interested in, actually. It wasn't really on my radar, but dark comedy, man. I'm down for that. JT, oh, okay, here we go. We've got one from an internet user. I recommend 5 Card Stud. It's a Western that also happens to be a kind of slasher film. Okay, so I was expecting a little bit of horror coming from Vinegar Syndrome, so that makes sense. JT, I've received my copies of Phase 4, 5 Card Stud, and The Playgirls and the Vampires, another So Bad It's Good movie. So JT is subscribed to Vinegar Syndrome, I'm assuming, because he's already got all 3 of those releases that he pre-ordered, so that's great, man. I have yet, like I said, I have yet to jump on the Vinegar Syndrome bandwagon, but I do own one of their releases now that I'm going to do a video about soon, but I bought it secondhand on eBay. Michael Smith, how many people ask you what the C means on your shirt? Nobody really, because I don't really wear this shirt out. I only kind of bought these shirts so I could wear them on the channel, because I like to wear something that's like movie related. So I don't think I've worn this one out yet. Green is not usually my color. I don't usually wear a lot of green, but Grace got me this for Christmas. So I wear these on the videos sometimes. But yeah, I also have a shirt from like Colorado that has the exact same C on it. So I don't know, maybe they just assume it's the Colorado C logo thing. Jar Jar Ed says the Fifth Element on 4K in the UK is under the Studio Canal label. The color grading is warmer and more natural looking with some consistent film grain, much better than the Sony release in the US. Interesting. That is very interesting. Evil Wax. Oh, Gus is here. Welcome, Gus. Always glad to have you on the streams. You bring the energy up. Evil Wax. I watched The Guard with Brendan Gleeson and Don Cheadle on St. Patrick's Day as it takes place in Ireland. Liked it even more the second time. Interesting. We watched a lot of Irish films this year for St. Patrick's Day. Kind of made a whole week of it, and I've never heard of that one, so I'll have to check that one out. That's very cool. All right, let's jump back over and see what else we've got dropping this week. Let me know how I sound, guys. I'm using the lav mic tonight, but I've got the gain all the way up because I've noticed the levels have been a little bit low. Let me know if I'm clipping or popping or if I'm getting in the red at all. I hope not. I hope it sounds okay for you guys. What do we have here? We've got Primal Fear is getting a 4K. Back to Paramount Presents. We haven't talked about Paramount Presents in a while. I really like this line. They come with these really cool slip covers, excuse me, that open in the front. They've got kind of this window. It's not a window, but it's like a fold-out slip cover thing. And they look pretty good. And I have not picked up any of these yet. I need to. There's a couple of them I want, but this is Primal Fear, starring Richard Gere from 1996. A great year in film. One of my favorite movies of all time came out that. Two of my favorite movies of all time came out that year. The Day Trippers and A Tale of Summer. But yeah, this is Paramount Pictures, 1996. Another crime film, a psychological thriller, starring Richard Gere, and that looks like a very young Edward Norton. Is that Edward? Yeah, look how young Edward Norton is in this. Fascinating. But yeah, this looks really cool. Primal Fear, getting a 4K release. I know some people have had, well, I think the Paramount Presents line has been a little bit divisive. I think some of their 4K releases haven't been that great, but I think a lot of them are really good. I don't know. I'm not super technical. My eyes are not trained to see that stuff, so I usually am pretty satisfied with Paramount stuff. But this is available right now for $35 on Amazon, a little bit of a markdown price from the $40 sticker price. And we've got The Iron Claw coming out this week, a 2023 movie, and as most of the 2023 Oscar movies, not getting a 4K. It's just getting a Blu-ray and DVD and digital from Lionsgate Films. But this is an A24 film, so hopefully, I don't know how the rights are, but hopefully maybe someday we'll get an A24 shop release of this film because they do some great 4K releases. I got The Green Knight from them, and we've got Marcel the Shell from them, and I know a lot of other releases they put out. They put out recently, they put Everything Everywhere All at Once, and what was the other one they put out recently? They've got some really great releases, so hopefully this gets that treatment as well. I know a lot of people love this movie from last year, but this is just a Blu-ray, and it is only $20 on Amazon right now, so not a bad price if you really like that film and you just want to watch it again right now, but maybe hold out for a 4K. I'm not sure. I don't have any insider information on whether that's going to get a 4K or not, but I hope so for the people that really like that film. Next up, we've got a very cool release. This was kind of the one that stood out to me the most because this is a movie that's been on my radar for a while now that I still haven't seen, and I really want to see it. It's called, and I don't even know how to really pronounce it because I've heard it a couple different ways, but it's Amelie, and it is a steelbook release, a very cool looking steelbook release with green. It's got a very green, the spine is just kind of black, but the rest of the steelbook looks very good with the red and green. This is a film that people keep recommending to me because they think I'll really like it. I think it's very like stylistic and very interesting. Just looking at the screenshots here, it looks beautiful. I love how it looks down here. But yeah, just a kind of surreal, which is a tick in the box for my sensibilities. But it's a surreal romance and a drama, and it looks really good. This is coming out from Sony Pictures, so it's probably a really solid restoration, or at least I guess this isn't a real restoration. I think it's just a 2K restoration. So it's not a 4K release, just a Blu-ray, but it is a nice steelbook. And hopefully you can find it at your Walmart. This is not a Walmart exclusive steelbook, but they've had a really, most Walmarts have been having a pretty good steelbook section lately. So there you go. You've got that coming out, and it's available right now for $26 on Amazon. That's a big markdown because it's usually $40, or supposed to be $40, but I guess, you know, what are you going to know? Sometimes you think they just raise the price so that you feel like you're getting a deal. All right, let's go back to the chat because I'm getting way behind here. We've got Posty Posterson. Do you have any, first time I've ever read your name in a live chat, in a live show, I think. So welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Do you have any favorite movie title sequences? Oh, geez. Oh, man. That is put me on the spot. That would be a good video, though. Favorite movie title sequences. So one genre that really got me into film, I've only recently, over the last couple years, 3 years, I guess, since I started this channel, gotten into more classic films. But when I was younger, like high school years, even through college, mostly all I watched was like genre stuff, like sci-fi, fantasy, and superhero films. I was a big collector of superhero films when I first started collecting. That's what kicked off my collecting, was collecting all the Marvel films. So I had a lot of superhero movies title sequences that I really liked growing up. I've talked a little bit about my love for the 2008 Incredible Hulk film as a love letter to the Incredible Hulk TV show, which I loved growing up. And the title sequence in that is great because it's perfectly just tells you the origin, and then we can move on. We don't need to spend a ton of time going over that origin again. We've already seen it. So just get it all in the title sequences, because those early Stan Lee books were just like an origin just to get the ball rolling. So I really liked how they handled that. Not really anything interesting about the titles themselves in that, just the way they used that time to tell the origin. Same thing with Watchmen. I know a lot of people don't like Zack Snyder's Watchmen adaptation, but the title sequence, you gotta admit, is pretty cool with that song and how it just tells the whole story, the backstory, before you get into the film. But specifically for the titles themselves, I would have to watch. We watched, like I said, we had a course where we watched a lot of interesting title sequences. I think Zombieland was one of the ones that we watched in that course, where they're like interacting with the video, like they'll hit the text and it'll kind of explode. So that was an interesting one. I think Seven was another one that we watched in that course. Just a really interesting use of the title sequences, but that's a good video. Thank you, Posty Posterson, for jumping in the chat. I'm gonna have to do some more research to remember some of my favorite title sequences, because we don't do them as much anymore. We usually do them at the end if we do them these days. David Albies here. Dan's Den says Primal Fear is a 1990s cable staple, Edward Norton's film debut. Oh, I thought he looked pretty young. And he made an impression already, leading to an Oscar nomination. Wow, interesting. And Kevin House also says that Edward Norton is great in it. Whoa, 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 the chat just jumped up and I've lost where I was. But we've got Evil Wax. When Primal Fear first came out, I loved it. Not sure how it's held up over the years, though. But Edward Norton's acting performance is phenomenal. So a lot of people liking Edward Norton in that movie. Bailey Walsh, Amelie is one of my all-time favorite movies. I rewatched it again and about a year ago and gave it a full 5 stars. Love it so much. That's awesome. I need to check that one out. Thanks for the recommendation, Bailey. And yeah, I've actually been giving a lot of movies 5 stars lately. I was real picky with my 5 stars on Letterboxd for a while, but then I'm like, who cares? This is just for me. Like, why am I so hesitant to give a movie 5 stars? If I love it and it's one of my favorites, I'm gonna give it 5 stars, man. I've been more lenient with that lately, and it's been fun. Let's see, Luke. Hi, DJ. I went to a mystery movie marathon on Saturday and watched 4 films back to back with no clues. They were Birth, Naked Lunch, El Topo, and The Hunt for Red October. Started at 11 p.m., ended at 8 a.m. That is a very random assortment. I don't know what Birth is, but I know what Naked Lunch is, obviously. And then El Topo is a Jodorowsky film, right? Is that his first film? And then obviously Hunt for Red October. What was the connection with those? I don't know what that is. I guess they're just all mysteries, I guess? Interesting. That's very cool. Connor Nielsen popped in, and people are talking to him down there. Yeah. Oh, CG Anime Fan says the Superman films have great title sequences, in my opinion. That is true. I've only seen the first Superman film, but I love it. Jumping back into the new releases, we're going to shift gears and go into another mostly horror-focused label. This is Severin Films. They're dropping Burial Ground, which is another Italian film. I wonder if these are all Giallo films. I'm not sure, but it's at least Italian. This is a 1981 horror film about burial grounds, I'm assuming. And this is a 4K release. So Severn getting in on the 4K releases. This looks very, let me see if I can, oh yes, very grotesque. Look, some kind of zombie film, I'm assuming. I'm not too familiar with that one, but that is also available on Amazon for $26. That's a really cool prosthetic, like, scarecrow-looking zombie head, though. Interesting. Yeah, 80s horror film coming from Severn. And then they also have, what else is this other one? Closed Circuit, also coming out from Severn Films. And it is another Italian film. So the theme this week is Italian horror. We always come up with a theme as we go through this and see what the trends are. But this is another Italian horror film. And again, it's a 70s film. So lots of 70s and 80s stuff coming out this week from Severin and Vinegar Syndrome. And this is also a Western, so we've got another horror Western here. So Vinegar Syndrome and Severin very much on the same page this week with their releases. We've also got this film coming out from, and I'm not familiar with this label, I don't even know how to say it, De Gausser Video. This is Herencia Diabolica. Diabolica. This is a Spanish horror film, and it looks like it's about a clown. So my wife is already completely checked out. She does not do killer clowns. The description just says a diabolical clown doll murders people that are cruel to him. Wow, so doll horror and clown horror all mixed up in one. So if you like either of those genres, or both of those genres, this sounds like a perfect film for you. It is a 1993 film. Wow, so I was 1 year old when this came out, and this also has a slipcover in original pressing. So another label that puts out limited edition slipcovers, and another one that you can pick up on Amazon for $22 right now. So that's cool. I know my horror fans in the audience are very excited about this. I don't know how many horror fans I have in my audience because I don't talk about horror very much because I'm not the biggest horror fan, but you're getting a lot of stuff this week if you are a horror fan. So that's cool. One other release here, it's getting a 4K release from another label I'm not familiar with at all. Cult Epics is the label. And this is, again, another Italian film. Is there some reason that all these Italian films are coming out at once? Is March interesting? This is All Ladies Do It 4K Blu-ray. This is an erotic Italian romance and drama. No horror here. Yes, all the screenshots are YouTube appropriate, but there you go. You've got, oh, and we'll look at another release of this one later, actually, that is not so YouTube appropriate. But yeah, this is All Ladies Do It, getting a 4K and Blu-ray combo pack from Cult Epics. And I'm not, like I said, not familiar with that label, but this is a much pricier label because this is at a $50 price tag. On sale now, though, for $28.99, so 42% off. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. And then we've got some Warner releases to get into and some Kino Lorber. So I'm going to jump back to the chat and see what people are saying because I don't want to switch gears too much here. But we're moving at a pretty good pace. Let's see what else people are saying. Let's see. Connor Nielsen, hot take, maybe, question mark. Superman 2 is the best Superman film. Which version doesn't matter? Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I have not heard that take, so I think that would be considered a hot take. But I know a lot of people love the first and second one, so I don't know if that's too hot of a take. Jeffrey Patron is here. He says, Beach Red 1967, a World War II flick from Colonel Wilde, has a pretty interesting title sequence. Interesting. Very cool. It's always fascinating when you get those really cool title sequences from back in the day, when it's all analog and there's no computers, and they took so much more work. That's why Saul Bass is so impressive. I love that stuff. SC says, this clown movie sounds like one to add to the list. There you go. See, there is definitely an audience out there. Let's see. Bailey Walsh, same. I've been overthinking ratings less and less. Just rating things with however I'm feeling. Plus, logging something in Letterboxd can be such an in-the-moment thing, so specific to that watching experience. Exactly. I feel the exact same way. There's times where I try to because anytime you start trying to compare it to your other ratings or compare it to other experiences, like there's times where I'll have like a 4-star experience with the film, and there's times where I'll watch the same film and have a 5-star experience. I don't really try to get too objective anymore. I just kind of like how I'm feeling in the moment. I'm trying to be better about it, but sometimes I already have like 4 things backed up that I haven't logged yet just because I get so in my head about it. But we watched a few things over the weekend, and I need to log those. I need to stop being so picky about it. Jeffrey Patron just got in a 4K copy of Naked Lunch from Arrow UK, and I'm jazzed about it. The novel was something else. Yeah, I have not watched my Criterion copy yet, Jeffrey, but if I do end up really, really liking that movie, I might have to spring for the 4K limited edition, like awesome slipcase edition that they put out from Arrow, because it looks awesome. They did a really good release for that one. Kevin House, I can't get used to a 5-star rating system as I grew up with the 4-star ratings in Leonard Maltin's movie guide. Yeah, that's true. It's a different thing. But you can just rate. I have a friend who uses Letterboxd, but he just rates on a 4-star system still. He just a 4-star is like the highest he gives stuff, just because he's used to that as well. I think he was used to Ebert. I think Ebert also used a 4-star rating. So he is a big Ebert fan, so he does that as well. Let's see what else are people saying. Dan is talking to someone else. I think we're all caught up. Oh, here we go. Madhouse Studios. Want to definitely call out this one. Hey, DJ, new to the channel. What's your favorite film from last year? I'm hoping they announce a Zone of Interest 4K soon. Great question. And welcome to the channel. I'm glad you popped in for this. We did a whole video about this, so check out the video section on the channel. Grace and I talked about all of our favorite films of last year. We kind of went through the Oscar categories and picked our personal favorites. My personal favorite ended up being, I think, Poor Things. It's tough because I had like 3 that I was jockeying for first place. It was like Poor Things, Anatomy of a Fall, Society of the Snow, and also Holdovers I liked a lot too. So those are like my top 4. I had a really hard time ranking them just because I've only seen all of them once and they might change on a second viewing. But I really, really liked Poor Things in the theater. So I put that one as my number 1. But like I said, the other 3 are just as amazing, and I love all of them equally pretty much. So that's really tough. I need a second viewing to see which one of those like stays in my favorite movies of all time. Let's see. One more here. Luke SE. My rationale with Letterboxd ratings isn't how good the film is, but how much I enjoyed it. So then ranking Saltburn above The Godfather isn't so terrible, right? Yeah, that's exactly. It's all personal for me too. Like I said, I don't try to be objective. There's movies that I'm sure are great that just aren't for me. So I rank them low. So some people don't get that though. Some people get bent out of shape and get upset with me for ranking some stuff low. But that's fine. That's fine. It's just my personal diary. Like if I wouldn't even put it public if I didn't have to. I don't think they have a private way you can do it, but it's just for me. My Letterboxd is like I said, a personal diary for me. So I'm getting more comfortable with ranking things how I like. All right, let's jump in to the Warner releases. Warner's got a bunch of stuff coming out, both from their main line, their main studio line, and also from their kind of semi-boutique line, which is Warner Archive. And that's one of the first ones we're going to talk about right here. We've got Warner Archive Collection dropping a 1940 film called They Drive by Night. This is a film noir. Film noir, romance thriller, crime drama. This is one that I have not heard of. There's a bazillion film noirs, and we'll talk about a couple more later in a box set that's coming out from Kino. But this is They Drive by Night. It is starring, is that who I think it is? Yep, Humphrey Bogart, of course. There he is, a very young Humphrey Bogart. This is back in 1940. So yeah, there you go. You got another film noir starring Bogey coming out from 1940. Very, very cool. Warner Archive still killing it. They're dropping so many releases lately. I can't even keep up with it. But this one I will definitely be picking up. And I'm so glad I held off because there's only a DVD of this right now. And I thought about buying the DVD for the last couple of years. I saw a little bit of this film on TCM a couple years ago, and then I later found out that the film Tokyo Godfathers, which is a Japanese animation film that's set at Christmas time, is based on this movie. Well, it's based on the same novel that this movie is also based on. But this is I believe this is the John Ford version. Yes, this is the John Ford film Three Godfathers, starring John Wayne. John Ford actually made this film twice. He made it earlier as a silent film, and then he remade it later. I think he made it as a silent film maybe I'm wrong. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But there's a silent film version of this that I think he made, or it's either he made the silent one and then he made this one later, or someone made the silent one. He made the 36 version, and then he also made the later version. But this actually includes both versions. This is a 2-movie set. It has the 1936 version and the 1948 version. John Ford really liked this story so much that he remade it later with different actors. And this is a story about 3 men who find a baby. It's a Western. They find a baby, and they have to try to return it to its mother. So very similar if you've seen Tokyo Godfathers, which is that Christmas animated film that I have right back there on the shelf. One of my favorite Christmas movies. It's great. It was also kind of remade with Ice Age. If you watched Ice Age growing up, it's kind of the same story. But this is really cool. Like I said, I almost broke down and bought the DVD just so I could see it, but I'm really glad I held off because now we've got a lovely Blu-ray version that has 2 versions of the story. From 1936 and 1948. So this one will definitely be going to my wish list because I want to check this one out soon. And it's only $22 right now. That's the great thing about Warner Archive. They don't do a lot of frills. They don't do a lot of crazy packaging or even really supplements that much, but they do keep their prices pretty low. So that's a good thing about Warner Archive. And then we've got another one here from Warner Archive. This is a much later film. This is all the way in 1988. Stand and Deliver, getting a Blu-ray release. This is just a straight up drama film. The story of Jamie Escalante, a high school teacher who successfully inspired his dropout prone students to learn calculus. So kind of like a student teacher film. Stand and Deliver, a true story about a modern miracle. Interesting, so based on a true story. So that's another one that Warner Archive is releasing this week. Again, $22 seems to be the standard sale price for those. I'll see if I can grab any more before we switch over to another label. Yep, we've got one here, Money Talks from 1997. Completely different thing. This is a crime action comedy starring Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen. What a duo. Very, very young Chris Tucker. Look at that. You can get everything you need to know from the cover there. They're getting the lowdown on the high price of living. So I'm assuming some kind of misunderstanding happens there where they get some money that they're not supposed to. I guess they're criminals. Like it is a crime comedy. So there you go. Charlie Sheen and Chris Tucker. That's probably a good time. 1997. I don't know how good that one is, but like we just talked about, it is all subjective. But that's another one that's $22 right now. So Warner Archive dropping a bunch of stuff right before the month is out. Are there any other coming from Warner Archive? I don't think so. Oh, excuse me, I spoke too soon. There's one more that I'll mention here briefly. This is The Little Drummer Girl from 1984. This is a drama/thriller about an American actress disillusioned with her life that travels to Greece and gets recruited by Israeli intelligence agency. There she pretends to be the girlfriend of the dead brother of a Palestinian bomber. So you got some military aspects in this one. It is a thriller and a drama. Very kind of black and white, simplified, minimalistic cover there, and it stars Diane Keaton. Another interesting sounding film coming out from Warner Archive. Very diverse set of releases coming out from Warner Archive this week, excuse me. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of stuff coming out from Warner Archive. Let me jump over and see what people are saying in the chat. I want to stay engaged as much as I can. Let's see. Jeffrey Patron, gorgeous use by Ford of Technicolor in Three Godfathers. People talking about Three Godfathers. David Albee says, I adore Tokyo Godfathers. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Oh, let's see. David Albee also says the best exploration of Christmas and its meanings, in my opinion, besides It's a Wonderful Life. So his maybe second favorite Christmas movie. Yeah, it's up there, man. It's really, really good. Dan's Den says Stand and Deliver is a classic teacher wheels it out at school film. Connor Nielsen, this week's Warner Archive announcements were off the hook. I didn't know people were still using that phrase. But Connor says he's for sure grabbing Three Godfathers in the next few weeks. I will be too. That's the most exciting release I think that's coming out this week for me personally, because I've been looking forward to that one for a while. Madhouse Studios, DJ, are you an anime guy? Don't sleep on that Berserk Blu-ray you just passed over. No, I am not an anime guy. I would never take credit as being an anime guy. I've only seen a couple films that are produced in Japan, like mostly Studio Ghibli stuff. Some other films by the director of Tokyo Godfathers. I've also seen his, what is his movie that's like kind of the inspiration for Inception that I can't think of. Paprika. Paprika's an awesome movie, and that just got a release we talked about a couple weeks ago. So I've seen a couple films here and there. I have not watched any series other than like the American ones that I grew up with, like Pokemon and Digimon and that stuff. So no, I would not consider myself an anime guy. I'm kind of overwhelmed by it all, and I don't know if I can jump into it at this point. It's a little... what's the word? It's just daunting. It's so much. And the seasons are so long, and I can't even find time to watch like 10-episode seasons that we do here in America. So I don't know if I'll ever jump into that. I am watching through the Digimon Adventure 1 with my son right now, and he likes it a lot. So that's as close as I'm getting these days. Let's see, Dan's Dan. I haven't seen the 80s Little Drummer Girl, but casting Keaton in that role and that age is wild. Let's see. Anything else? One more here. Keaton is excellent in The Little Drummer Girl. It's a shame the movie doesn't match the level of her performance. Still not a bad watch. Thanks, JT. Appreciate that review there. All right, let's jump back. I don't want to pass up any of these. I just wanted to see if there was any more. I'm sure we'll get to some more Warner stuff as we go along. That's the problem with these being all jumbled up. I wish they would organize it by studio. But speaking of studios, let's go ahead and jump into Kino Lorber. We've got Painter Wagon getting a 4K release from Kino Lorber. Kino Lorber's been crazy with the 4K releases lately. They've all got these nice slip covers that all look the same on the shelf. I've seen some people that have like all of these and they look really cool next to each other on the shelf. This looks awesome. What is this? This is like a Western adventure movie. It looks like an adventure movie with that poster, but I don't think it is. Oh, it's a Western musical comedy. Whoa, I was not expecting that. That is a really, really cool poster for a Western comedy. A rascally old prospector and his youthful partner share a gold claim and a wife as they establish a prosperous brothel in a California boomtown. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I didn't know what that was about. So 1969 Western musical comedy starring Clint Eastwood and a couple other well-known actors there. That's pretty cool. Wow. Good job, Kino. Always mixing things up and doing all kinds of different stuff. I was not expecting that. And that's on sale right now on Amazon as well. And another release that also has a Blu-ray release. I noticed down here at the bottom, so you can get that on 4K or Blu-ray. This one, I believe, is another 4K release. This is North Dallas 40, getting a 4K release and Blu-ray. Both discs included in both of these. This is a 1979 sports comedy. So the theme for Kino this week is comedies. We've got a Western musical and we've got a sports comedy here. North Dallas 40. It's also got kind of a Western theme because it takes place in Dallas. But there you go. A sports comedy. Not usually my favorite thing. I'm not a big sports movie guy. I'm not the biggest comedy guy, but that's probably a cult classic for some people. 70s comedy. I know I've got an audience that grew up in the 70s, and they'll probably enjoy that one, or maybe have fond memories of that one. That's starring Nick Nolte and Mac Davis. Wow, that is a super young Nick Nolte. That's really interesting. So North Dallas 40 also coming out. 2 Kino Lorber releases, and I think there's one more from them. Yes. Where did it go? You know what? I'm just going to go in order from now on. I'm going to stop jumping around because I don't want to miss anything here. This one. So this is what someone in the chat was talking about. They didn't want me to skip over Berserk, the complete TV series. Normally we just talk about movies on the show because there's already so much to get to, but that is a complete series from 1997 that is getting a release, and it is an anime series. But this one here, the Bounty Hunter Trilogy, I didn't put this one in the thumbnail because I didn't notice it until afterwards, but this is a Radiance Films box set. I don't know if it's a box set or just a kind of standard release, but it is kind of thicker. There you go. It is a box set. So this is spine number 46 and 47 from Radiance Films, putting out great stuff. I haven't picked up any Radiance yet, but I've heard from a ton of people on YouTube that love all the stuff they're putting out. This is 3 films by Shakiro Ozawa, and this is the Bounty Hunter Trilogy from 1969 to 1971, so still in that 60s, 70s range that we've been talking about a lot tonight. 3 movies in this set. Obviously, these are action movies. They look to be samurai movies, and there is no synopsis for the Bounty Hunter Trilogy. So all I know is that there's samurai movies from the 60s and 70s, maybe in that kind of exploitation period. I'm not sure, but the cover on this looks awesome. Love what Radiance Films does, especially their box sets. I still want to get that Italian comedy box set. Obviously, you can't get these from Amazon. These are going to be only available on Radiance's site. And I don't know how they do with worldwide shipping. I'm not sure about that. I haven't ordered from Radiance yet, but they put out awesome releases, so I gotta highly recommend those. Like I said, we only usually do movies on this, but I will do a quick mention of Wednesday. Wednesday is getting a complete first season release because this is big news. Because I don't know, am I crazy? I think I'm crazy. I thought this was a Netflix exclusive show. I don't use Netflix, so I haven't seen this, but I thought this was a Netflix show, and it's getting released by Warner Brothers. What happened there? Did they buy it? Is it because of the connection with the Beetlejuice movie and Tim Burton? I don't know what's going on. I thought this was a Netflix show, but it's getting a full season Blu-ray from Warner Brothers. Somebody let me know how that works. But that's really cool. That's kind of big. If it is a Netflix show, maybe I'm just completely wrong about that. But if it is a Netflix show, that's awesome because Netflix has been terrible at releasing their stuff lately, especially TV shows. So that's really cool. And then we've got from RLJ Entertainment, we've got When Evil Lurks getting a Blu-ray release. This is a Spanish horror film. Almost everything's coming up horror this week, but that is a very recent horror film that just came out last year. When Evil Lurks, very affordable, only $16.98. That's just a standard, looks kind of like a bare bone Blu-ray release, but it's cool that it is getting a release in this day and age where it's not guaranteed that everything's going to get a release, especially like lower budget horror films like that. So that's cool. I'll do one more here before I jump back to the chat. I'm sure people are putting a lot of stuff over there, so I will get caught up. But this is exciting. This is from Deaf Crocodile Films, which is a label that I've been talking about quite a bit on the channel lately because I just started collecting their stuff. They're doing that big Kickstarter right now for the Fantastica box set, which you could still get in on, I think, which is awesome. Love their stuff. They put out a lot of little-known animation stuff, which I'm always a big supporter of. We don't get enough animation releases, and this is another one of those. This is Bubble Bath, a Hungarian animated film. And here's what the slipcover looks like. Very cool style. Love Hungarian animation. The only two Hungarian films I have are from the same animator. That is Son of the White Mare and János Vitéz. This, I don't think is the same. I don't think this is the same animator at all, but it looks to be just as interesting. They have a very interesting style, or I don't want to paint the whole country with a single brush, but they have lots of interesting styles of animation over there. And this is called Bubble Bath. And I don't know anything else about this except it looks very interestingly animated, and it is a comedy/drama. So that's very cool. I love other countries that can do animation that's not just for kids or that's not just fantasy out there stuff. If this is just like a straight up comedy drama film, you probably could make it live action, but making it animated makes it so much more interesting. And I'd like to eventually check that out. There's a lot of stuff that Deaf Crocodile's put out that I want. I just can't fully, there's too many labels and I'm like spread thin over all of them. I should probably just pick a lane and try to collect all of it, but I have an eclectic taste and I try to spread out my budget as much as I can. So that's really cool. Bubble Bath, getting a release from Deaf Crocodile, and I did not know that you could order these from Amazon. This says it's available on Amazon right now for only $25. I don't know if that's just the standard release. Deaf Crocodile does standard releases, and they also do limited edition slipcovered versions. I don't know if that goes for the Amazon release. Maybe you just have to get the slipcover version from the website. I'm not sure about that. If anyone knows, let me know in the chat, because that would be interesting to me if I can get those from Amazon. I like to support the website when I can, though, and just order those directly from them. So that's Bubble Bath from Deaf Crocodile. Let's go over and see what people are saying as I save my throat with a little bit of water. All right, where are we in the chat? Kevin House says, I remember singing a melody of Paint Your Wagon songs in high school choir. Wow, that's really cool. Michael Smith says, Eastwood is actually not in Paint Your Wagon very much. Jane Fonda is much more the star than he is. Okay, good to know. Dan Sten says, North Dallas 40 is so good. A great critical look at how terrible the football industry is. Stars a young Nick Nolte. Yeah, that's cool. That's actually really cool that they were all the way back in the 70s already talking about the football industry, even before we have all like the problems we have now with like the concussions and everything. Kevin House also says, I just saw a very young Nick Nolte in an early 70s episode of The Streets of San Francisco. Yeah, people saying that Wednesday is a Netflix show. Okay, so I'm not crazy. John says maybe WB produced it. Streaming distribution by Netflix, but other rights are WB. I guess so. I guess so. Connor also says, interesting, I know the Netflix Sandman show got a 4K release from WB because WB co-produced it. So there must be, yeah, something there with the producing credits that allows them to distribute it through their stuff, which is awesome because Warner Brothers puts out pretty good releases. So I'd much rather have them put it out than Netflix put it out because they usually never put out stuff. But we've got Posty Posterson here. When Evil Lurks was my favorite horror movies of last year, but I'm gonna wait for a 4K. I can't bring myself to buy a Blu-ray of a new movie. Great price though. Yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys think about that. Are you one of the ones, because it seems to be happening a lot, where they'll release a Blu-ray and then later down the line they'll get you again with a 4K release, getting people to double dip. I don't know if that's an intentional strategy by the studios or if that's just how it's worked out, but I also have been kind of holding off. I haven't bought Poor Things yet. I haven't bought pretty much any of the 2023 releases from last year that I really liked. I've been kind of holding off because I don't need them right away. I just watched them. I can wait till they go on sale later down the road, or if we do get a 4K release, I'll be even more happy. Connor Nielsen, I would have assumed that would have meant it got licensed to Max before it got a disc, but I'm not mad. I wanted to let you know that I finally watched Daisies. Oh, this is from Evil Wax. He finally watched Daisies while there wasn't much. I don't know if you are a he. Sorry if you're not a he. I just assumed that was not nice of me. While there wasn't much of a plot, the visuals were stunning. It's mostly just like a allegory or like a messagey kind of film, but it's awesome. I love Daisies. I've only seen it once. I need to revisit it because, but it's just a fun movie. It's crazy. If you don't know what Daisies is, it's a Czech film. I think it has a female director, and it is just bonkers, crazy, over the top, and visually like stunning. So good, and I really like that one. That's in the Criterion Collection if you want to check out Daisies. Let's jump back over here and see if we can blow through these. How much time we got? Okay, we've been going for 47 minutes, so making pretty good time. Still a bunch to get to here. Next one is Stir, a 1980 film. This is another Severin Films release, and this is just a Blu-ray, but it is, of course, it's not listed as a horror film, but it is listed as a thriller film, so kind of in that same vein. Filmed in the Clare Valley, Gladstone, and the Flinders Ranger in South Australia, this prison movie was inspired by the true life prison riot at, wow, interesting. So it's based on a true life prison riot. So not a horror film at all, just a straight up thriller based on a true story. There you go. You've got Stir getting a release. That is a $30 film on Amazon right now, not on sale. So that's interesting as well. 3 films coming out from Severn this week. Then we've got Man on the Brink, which is getting a Blu-ray release. This is in Cantonese. That's the language on this film. And this is a crime drama. So lots of crime dramas. Very cool slipcover on this. Yet another label that I'm not super familiar with. It just says Kani. So I don't know what that label is, but it also has a slipcover in original pressing. I'm assuming this is a partner label of Vinegar Syndrome because it's kind of listed the same way. They always do 2,000 copies of their limited edition slipcovers, and they usually drop their releases at the same time. So I'm assuming this is a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome, and that's why it looks such a nice release. They put out a lot of cool stuff for their partner labels. But there you go. You got Man on the Brink. You can probably check that out on the Vinegar Syndrome website. Then we've got The Rockfire Explosion, which I am actually interesting. Another partner label from Vincent. I'm assuming this is from AGFA. Wow, this is awesome. So this is the cult fan favorite documentary that explores the rise and fall of Showbiz Pizza Place, its animatronic rock band, and the origins of Chuck E. Cheese. So this is a weird story where I think Chuck E. Cheese like borrowed a lot from this business. I don't know if they were like competing. I don't know much about it. I don't know if they were competing or if they just popped up after Showbiz Pizza went out of business. But this is fascinating to me. I've never heard of this. I have heard of this documentary, but I've never seen it. This is from 2008, a real short 72-minute documentary, but it sounds really cool. This is always a like aesthetic and a location that I find interesting. It's why I was really kind of excited for that Freddy's movie that came out last year. I think it's a really cool concept because I think there's something inherently creepy about these animatronics to us nowadays. Obviously, like during the time, they weren't really creepy, but nowadays it's like a really creepy just vibe that you get from these places. And I was very disappointed when I went to Chuck E. Cheese with my son for a birthday recently. They don't have any animatronics. They don't even have a stage. There's no band. There's not even, like, it's just an arcade. That's all Chuck E. Cheese. There's not even like a playground, a play place or anything. Chuck E. Cheese is just an arcade. It's like Kids Dave and Buster's now. Very lame, Chuck E. Cheese. Very lame. They had like a guy come out in like a mascot costume that was Chuck E. Cheese, and he danced for like 10 minutes and then he left. That was it. Terrible. Terrible place. Don't take your kids to Chuck E. Cheese. Don't do your birthdays there. Very lame. When I was a kid, there was like a huge play place with a ball pit, and you got the pizza. They still have pizza. Everybody has pizza. But like, it was so much cooler when I was a kid. And now there's like the stage with the animatronics and everything. Nothing. Nothing at all. Just an arcade. So that was really disappointing. But this seems like a really cool documentary, and I kind of want to check it out. Always Sunny also did, in their last season, they did an episode, basically Chuck E. Cheese. It was like a made-up one for the show, but that was a great episode. One of the better episodes of that season, because I wasn't really excited about that season very much. But there you go, Rockfire Explosion getting a sweet Blu-ray release with a limited edition slipcover, partner label from Vincent, another partner label from Vincent, which we've already talked about twice, and I still don't know how to say it. This is Cinematograph? I don't know how to say that word, but this is Going South. These are those really cool, and we don't have very many pictures of it, but they've been putting out these releases that are kind of like cloth-bound books, I guess similar to the Princess Bride digibooks that we got from Criterion, but these look awesome. These look like really cool releases. We've already got a couple of them. I think this is the third one. This is limited to 6,000 copies, and it is, like I said, the Vincent exclusive media books that you get. And here we go. We've got the 4K and Blu-ray. Going South is a Western comedy. There we go. Fits right in perfectly with the theme for this week. I wish we had pictures of that because those packaging are very, very nice. And for some reason, they don't have any pictures of it. But I'm sure that's going to look great. Another one we have here is Night of the Bloody Monster, which is coming from Blue Underground. Not familiar with this label either, but another horror film from the 70s, because this is the week of April 26th, and we're only putting out Western comedies and horror movies from the 70s. So that's getting a release from Blue Underground. It is available right now for $28.99 on Amazon. And let's see, let's do a couple more here. We already did Money Talks. We'll do this last one, and then I'll talk to you guys over in the chat. This is another release from Severin Films, another Blu-ray release. And this is is this a Spanish film? So Dracula, Prisoner of Frankenstein, a very unique take on the like Universal Monsters stuff. This is the front of that one. Very, very cool artwork. Love the artwork on that one. So we got Dracula and Frankenstein, a little crossover film. And it includes, I don't know if it's two films or if it's just, I think it's just one film, maybe just two different titles. Yeah, it's just two different titles. Dracula, Prisoner of Frankenstein, and Dracula vs. Dr. Frankenstein. Maybe that is two different films. I'm not sure. It usually tells me if they're two films. But there we go. I think it's just one film with a different title. Maybe it's like the American adaptation, because sometimes we change things when we show it in America. But there you go. That one's available for only $20 right now. Dracula, Prisoner of Frankenstein. And then I'll go ahead and give a little tease because there's a lot of indicator releases that we haven't even talked about yet. There's a bunch of new indicator releases dropping this week, and we'll get to those in just a second. Let me see what people are saying over here in the live chat. Man, I'm talking a lot this evening. We got a lot to get through. Let me make sure my mic is not gonna run out of batteries. Okay, it seems like it's going good. Bailey Walsh, Bubble Bath is strange, but so stylish. I watched it on Mubi sometime last year. I gotta get into Mubi. That sounds like a streaming service that I would really like too. It's kind of in the same vein as Criterion Channel, which is my favorite streaming service. Posty Posterson also says Bubble Bath looks so cool. It really does. It looks like it kind of has that 70s animation style. Jar Jar Ed, this documentary sounds similar to a movie about a road trip to White Castle. Connor Nielsen, Chuck E. Cheese is a classic Elvis situation, erasing the origins of bear animatronic music. Eva Wax is here. Wow, I used to go to Showbiz Pizza Place a lot when I was a kid. I actually might have to check that out. I don't know. Is there a way I can watch that before I buy it? I don't know. It's a cool release, but I don't know if I want to get... I'm not a big documentary person. I don't have a lot of documentaries. I don't know if I would rewatch documentaries, so I don't have a lot of them in the collection. Let's see. John says it is pronounced cinematograph. Cinematograph. So I'm going to go with that from now on. Cinematograph. Thank you, John. He says it is French. So actually no stressed syllables. Okay, yeah, I'm taking French right now on Duolingo, and the thing I'm learning is that they pronounce like half the consonants. And the rest of it, you just kind of mutter under your breath. Kevin House, nearby Decatur, has a really cool pizza place named Famous Monster Pizza. The owner is a fan of the old Universal Monster films, and the whole place is filled with posters and related memorabilia. That's awesome. That's really cool. So he says Decatur, Indiana has a really cool pizza place. I love those kind of places. We have a place around here called Grindhouse. It's a burger place, but they show like old Grindhouse films on TVs inside, and they kind of have the whole aesthetic of old Grindhouse stuff. Going south is the Jack Nicholson directed comedy western with the big screen debut of John Belushi and Mary Steenburgen. Pretty good. That's from your friend, Mr. Jones. Your friend, Mr. Jones, has been leaving a lot of comments on the channel lately. I really want to thank you personally for all your support. Leaving those comments helps the channel quite a bit, so thank you for that. And he's also been giving me helpful information. So good to see you in one of the live chats. SC says that sounds like a great description of French. Yeah, probably offensive. Sorry about that. But let's go ahead and jump back and look at these indicator releases. Real quick before we get into that, we've got another Crow sequel. This is Crow Salvation from 2000 getting a release from Shout Factory. I think this is, I know there's 3 Crow sequels. I don't know which one this is, but this is the one that came out in 2000, getting a limited edition release from Shout Factory. And then we've also got this film that I cannot pronounce. That's a French title, but it is another partner label of Vinegar Syndrome, Réjean Padavani. And that is also coming out from a partner label of Vinegar Syndrome, which is called Canadian International Pictures. And it also has a slipcover in original pressing. Another crime drama from the 70s, of course. All right, let's get into these indicator releases. We've got from 1978, Patrick, getting a 4K and Blu-ray combo pack from Powerhouse Films. These are their, if you haven't seen these, if you haven't got on the indicator bandwagon yet, I highly recommend these. They've got these beautiful deluxe slipcase editions that kind of look like Arrow video releases. If you know the Arrow video slipcases, these are very similar to those. They're limited runs and then they release standard editions later, just like Arrow video does. But this is from Indicator, and this is one movie with 3 cuts. This is a supernatural horror movie. That cover right there looks kind of horrifying. I don't know what he's seeing. At first I thought he was kind of like a comatose patient when it was zoomed out, but when it's zoomed in, it's like he's seeing the light or something. Like does he almost die? I'm guessing he almost dies, but this is a film by Richard Franklin. I think a lot of people are excited about this one. I saw some people in the groups very excited about this one, but it looks like he's in a, actually, this might actually be up my alley. Let me read this real quick because I'm interested. After the shocking bathtub death of his mother and her lover, spoiler alert, the sinister Patrick lays comatose in a small private hospital, his only action being his involuntary spitting. Oh, that's lovely. When a pretty young nurse just separated from her husband begins working at the hospital, she senses that Patrick is communicating with her, and he seems to be using his psychic powers to manipulate events in her life. Whew, that's a lot. That actually sounds really interesting to me. I've talked about before, one of the locations that I really, really enjoy, this is a little bit different, but one of the locations that I love seeing in film and I love watching movies about is like insane asylums. Like, I think that's really cool. This is a hospital, so it's not really the exact same thing, but it still sounds pretty cool. I like that kind of horror. I like that kind of supernatural horror when it takes place in like insane asylums and stuff like that. But I also am like a little bit claustrophobic, and like my worst fear is being completely like immobile, like just like a vegetable, and like my mind is still alive, but I can't move. I'm completely paralyzed. So that might be a lot. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle that one. That would be very horrifying for me. But if you love that kind of stuff, it's getting a release, and this is one of the new thing for Indicator is they're putting out US releases. So we've got US and UK versions. I will link down to the US version on Amazon right now for $30. That one sounds cool. I'm on the fence about that one. I would add that one to my wish list. That would be one that I'm interested enough in to check out. Let's see what else we got from Indicator. This one looks amazing. They've been putting out a lot of, this is the kind of Spanish, let me see, I'm gonna get to that one in a second, but this one here. So the Santo films, I know a lot of people have been excited about the Indicator releases of the Santo films. He did, I think they've already released a couple of his films. I think this is like a real life wrestler who like made a bunch of movies. This one is called Santo versus the Riders of Terror, getting a Blu-ray release. And it is one movie with 2 different cuts. Looks, and it's a Spanish film, obviously. I think it's about like a real life luchador wrestler, and this is his Western kind of thriller action movie that he did, so it fits perfectly into the theme. It's also from 1970. I swear these labels have to all be like in on this and like putting out this theme together. But this is another limited edition release, another Santo film, and going along with that, another Spanish film that I think is tangentially related to wrestling in some way. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's the Batwoman, which is this kind of legally distinct version of Batwoman. It's the Bat Space Woman. It's got this really awesome, actually looks pretty cool. It's like a bikini Batwoman costume. She's got like gloves and like a really cool short cape and the boots and everything. Looks awesome. I know a lot of people are excited about this one. I'm actually thinking about buying this for a friend of mine who collects Batman. I think it would be really cool to get him this. This is a limited edition. This one's got 8,000 copies. This is a 1960s, like I said, horror, sci-fi, comic book, adventure movie. Supposed to be one of those so bad it's good movies. At least that's what they've said in the chat earlier. This one is one that looks great, and I know it's going to be a beautiful release because Indicator always puts out great stuff. Then we've got a couple more here from Indicator. We've got Snapshot getting a 4K release. This is also called The Day After Halloween. This is another limited edition 4K and Blu-ray combo pack. Only 3,000 copies on this one. And this has two different cuts, so two alternate cuts on this one. Another thriller from 1979. This one is about a young hairdresser thrown out of home by her puritanical mother after too many nights out. She quickly falls in love with the modeling crowd and does some modeling work herself, while it seems she is being stalked by a mysterious figure driving an ice cream van. So completely different from the other Indicator releases. Very eclectic mix. Indicator always putting out great stuff. That one's also available, the US version, on Amazon right now. Very cool. And then the last one from Indicator also goes along with that Spanish kind of theme that they were doing. There's three of them. This is another Santo film, I believe. It's called The Panther Woman from 1967. I don't know if it is specifically a Santo film, but it is definitely a luchador film. This is spine number 274. So 5 limited editions coming out from Indicator this week. They're killing it. I love Indicator. I wish I could buy all the releases. I can't afford it, but if there was some way I could get them all, hey, you want to sponsor the show, Indicator? Feel free. I will absolutely do some videos on those releases if you want to send them my way. But yeah, that looks awesome too. Love the cover art on that one. The other title for that is La Mujeres Pantera, and wow, really cool. Really cool releases from Indicator. We'll go ahead and talk to the chat for a little bit, but those are some great releases that are coming out from Indicator this week. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. I'm sure people have some good stuff to say about those releases. I know I got some Indicator collectors. Every time I do an Indicator video, they come out of the woodwork and talk to me a little bit. I don't know how many of them come to the live streams. Connor Nielsen is very excited about the Crow movie from 2000. Dan's Den says the Crow Salvation is the second Bad Crow sequel. Okay, so only the second one there. What else do we have? Dan's Den. I'm interested in this, so I want to hear this. Patrick was a pretty notable 70s horror movie. They remade it later, and Richard Franklin got courted by Hollywood. Interesting. Yeah, I might check that one out. If people, let me know if you think I would like that one. It sounds interesting to me. What do we have? Ethan Edwards, you're right. Insane asylums are cool. Yeah, right? I don't know why. I don't know what it is about them. They're not cool, but I don't know. It's a fun thing to watch in movies. Maybe not fun, but it's an interesting thing to watch in movies. Evil Wax 73. I had Mubi for a 3-month trial a while ago, but the video kept buffering on the movies. Ended up canceling right after the free trial ended. They didn't have an app at the time, so I had to cast to TV. Ooh, that's kind of unfortunate. But maybe they've gotten better since then, hopefully. What else are people saying? Oh my gosh, a lot of stuff here. Ethan Edwards says Shot Corridor is a great insane asylum. Also, Minnelli's Cobweb. Awesome. Thank you for those recommendations. I'll have to check those out on Letterboxd. Put them in my wish list or watch list, excuse me. Let's see. Bailey is also trying to help coach me on how to say. She says it's apparently pronounced cinematograph. See, I want to immediately go into a Spanish accent because that's what I took 2 years of in high school. But I'm trying to get my French accent down a little better. Plus an accent on the R if you want to do it. Be more accurate with the French pronunciation, lol. So cinematograph. Interesting. I'll get it eventually. I'll have to do some. I have to learn it because we keep talking about them. They've already put out 3 releases. Connor Nielsen also agrees that Shot Corridor rules. That's in the Criterion Collection, and I actually own that one, actually. That was one of the ones I picked up in a collection that I bought out. So I will check that one out. There's also another film directed by the same director, I think. This is from the Cinematic. Indicator's release of The Swimmer is one of my favorites. Spoiler alert, but that might be coming to the channel soon because I may or may not have just acquired that Indicator release of The Swimmer. It's a beautiful release, and I don't even know how to describe that film. It's very interesting. Posty Posterson, the day after Halloween / Snapshot poster used the John Carpenter font and tried to market itself as a Halloween sequel. Wow. Hey, do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. Play dirty if you have to. Internet user, I will be the Joker for the Batwoman. What is that? What does that suit look like? Is it like a Speedo? Maybe just a Speedo, like a Joker hairdo with just a Speedo. You'd have to do a lot of body paint, unfortunately. Cinematech Tarantino calls Richard Franklin the closest successor we had to Hitchcock. Interesting quote there. What else do we have? I think we can jump back. One more here. JT said, I saw Patrick when it was first released in theaters. Fascinating and very creepy. Give it a try. I think it might be a good match for you. I think I will. I think I might check that one out eventually. I also just can't resist those Indicator releases. Like, I have to admit, like, I'm one of those guys who give stuff a try just because of the packaging. I know. A lot of people get mad at us for doing that, but I found a lot of amazing films that way, so I don't regret it. I do not regret it. However you get into the films is okay by me. What else is coming out this week? Holy cow. I don't know if these are huge. Okay, Yellow Veil Pictures, another, this is interesting because this is another partner label from Vinegar Syndrome, Yellow Veil. So they have been putting out, so I actually bought a couple films from them. I have the Saragossa manuscript, and I bought another film by the same director, which is about an insane asylum. I'm very predictable, and that is coming in the mail right now. I just got that from eBay. I'm trying to get into that director because he sounds very, very interesting to me, but this is not by that director. This is called Where the Devil Roams. This is a 2023 horror film, so I think Yellow Veil Pictures, for the most part, not across the board because the films I just bought are not new films, but for the most part, I think they put out like current films, like very recent films. That's one of the sub-labels of Vincent that puts out recent stuff, but they also do dabble in older stuff as well. I think those films that I got are from the 50s, I believe. We also have another one from Saturn's Core Audio and Video, another Vincent partner. This is called The Zombie Army, a 1991 film. Ooh, there's a little risky photos there. But here we go, a 90s horror film. It's interesting that how many of the partner labels of Vincent are also horror labels. And then we've got Dark Star Pictures, yet another one, putting out Night Siren, which is a 2022 horror film, a horror mystery film. So lots of stuff. Like I said, we've talked about this in the past. Vinegar Syndrome like drops. Uh-oh. Dan freaked me out, said my voice miffed there. Sorry, I may have like talked too close to the mic. Let me know if it starts messing up. I've got my mic here I can switch to if I need to. Hopefully it doesn't keep doing that. But yeah, there's a lot of Vinegar Syndrome stuff. They drop all their stuff at the same time, so we have a lot to catch up on whenever they do that. There is the Batwoman, I think that's the Blu-ray version? Or that, yeah, there's the Blu-ray of Batwoman. What else do we have to talk about here? Let's go this way. So 88 Films is a release that we don't or a label that we don't talk about very much. I think they mostly put out like Hong Kong action films, and this is no different. This is the Inspector 2. Actually, the Inspector Wears Skirts 2. Excuse me, that always confuses me when they put the 2 like next to one line of the text. The Inspector Wears Skirts 2. So this is a female, that's an amazing photo right there. This is a female police action film. This is in Cantonese. This is from 1989. Looks like a fun film, and it is a sequel. I'm assuming that 88 Films has already put out the first one, but this is the second one in that action series. 88 Films also available on Amazon. You can get that for $25 right now, but I have not bought any 88 Films. Like I said, there's so many labels, and I cannot possibly collect them all. I don't know how people get even close to collecting them all. But that's coming out from 88 Films. We've also got Good Burger 2 coming out from Paramount Pictures. I thought this movie came out a long time ago. Is this like a long-awaited release? I thought this came out, I guess it was 2023, so not that long ago. But a streaming movie, I believe? Maybe not. 2023 release of Good Burger 2, the long after sequel to a film I think came out in the 90s. I did not grow up with Nickelodeon in the 90s, so I never saw the original Good Burger, so I also didn't see Good Burger 2, but if you love that franchise, it is a franchise now, then maybe check out the Good Burger 2 on Blu-ray. Next up, we've got another Warner Archive release. This is one that I glossed over earlier, sorry about that, but this is a double feature. A double silent feature, which is really cool. I love when they put out silent movies. I haven't seen very many silent movies from Warner Archive, but this is The Boob and Why Be Good, two films from 1926 and 1929. Who is this starring? Who's starring? Let's see if I recognize any of these stars in here. I don't recognize any of these stars. Okay, so very early silent films from the early 20s, and these are romance and comedy silent films. There you go. You've got The Boob right there on top, and Why Be Good. He looks like he's enjoying himself. Look at that. That's crazy. Look at the looks. We got to bring back these looks, like these little pinstripe mustaches and these little like scrunched up hairs. Not a good look. Not a good look. Sorry if you're a big fan of the 20s looks, but yeah, we've got two 20s comedies coming out from Warner Archive. All over the map, Warner Archive is this week. They're putting out all kinds of stuff, so very cool. Another Vinegar Syndrome partner, ETR Media, is putting out Everything to Entertain You, which is a 2023, looks like a documentary. Yeah, this is a documentary. No synopsis, so I don't know exactly what this is, but it looks like it's about video stores, which is awesome. This is a documentary about video stores called Everything to Entertain You, the Story of Video. Very cool. Very short documentary, only 60 minutes, but it's a very recent documentary from 2023. Next up, we've got another Kino Lorber release. We've talked about these in the past few months. They are dropping one, I think, every month until they get through the entire series. This is Monk, the complete 5th season, which they just started towards the end of last year. These are just Blu-ray releases, not 4K for these, but this should be plenty for the big Monk fans out there. Obsessive Compulsive Detective. Tony Shalhoub killing it. This is like right when the show was like really hitting its stride. Season 5, I think there's 8 seasons if I'm not mistaken. I never watched this show growing up, but I've heard great things about it. So that is the 5th season of that. If you want to get your hands on that, if you've been collecting those as they come out. Slipcovers with the original pressing on those, and then I think they're gone afterwards. So maybe snatch that one up as soon as it drops. We have got, oh my gosh, we've still got a bunch left. I'm gonna have to start speeding through these Vincin releases because most of the people who collect Vincin are subscribers, I feel like, so they get all these at once, so they don't really need me to go through these. But in case you're not a subscriber and you just want to pick up some that you're interested in, this is Blind Faith from VH. I won't say the name of that. It has an obscenity just in the name of the label, but it's a 1989 horror film. You know what you're getting from these labels. That's coming out as well. Then we've got Dark Night of the Scarecrow coming out from VCL. This is 2 movies from 1981 and 2022. So a long after sequel. Coming out in 2022. That's really interesting. Horror mystery films that are about scarecrows. Another thing that is like completely benign, but we've turned it into a horrific monster, just like clowns and dolls and everything else. Now scarecrows are creepy as well. All right, let's jump back. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. Let's see what's going on over here and see if I can get caught up. It must cost an absolute insane amount of money to be on the to be one of the Vinegar Syndrome completionists who buy every title and partner label release each month. Yeah, I don't know anyone who does that. I'm in a Vincin group on the Facebook groups just because I like to keep up with some of the other partner labels. But there's people on there that have like insane collections. I don't know. I haven't even looked at what the subscription price is, but it's got to be insane. Let's see. CG Anime Fan, the first Good Burger film is a guilty pleasure for a lot of people, including me. Yeah, I know that was a big one for a lot of people that grew up. Dan Stan, Why Be Good indeed? Exactly. Bailey Walsh says, oh, I missed out on watching Why Be Good recently on the Criterion channel. I'm definitely interested in that one. Yeah, that's very cool to see like a rom-com in the silent era, because a lot of people attribute the rom-com, the structure of it, to It Happened One Night. But obviously we were making similar films even before that, even a couple decades before that. Michael Smith, Colleen Moore was one of the biggest stars of the late silent era. Jeffrey Patron says The Boob was directed by William A. Wellman. Have it recorded and plan on checking it out soon. Jeffrey's always killing it with the recordings on TCM. Very jealous of that. I wish I still had TCM available to me. Bailey Walsh, LOL, I love the 1910 through 1930 styles. Those mustaches are the only good looking mustaches in my opinion. Hey, whatever works for you. I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum. JT, speaking of silent era, did we touch briefly on The Wind last week? If so, it is now streaming on Tubi if you don't mind ads. Yes, we did talk about The Wind, which I think is a Shortstrom movie. I was very interested in that one. That was towards the top of my list of things that I was excited about from last week. But here we go. Let us trudge on through this massive, massive list of films coming out this week. We already talked about those indicator releases. We've got Stranded and Cosmic Psychos coming out from Umbrella Entertainment, 2013 and 2015. This is a 2-movie pack. And I don't know anything about these. There's no synopsis, and there's not even like the genres that they usually list. But it looks like these are music documentaries, if I can tell just from the photo here. Maybe not. Maybe not. I actually have no idea what these are. Let's just read the cover here. 30 Years and a Million Beers with Australia's Most Unlikely Rock and Roll Heroes. There we go. I was right. Music, films, and they look to be documentaries, so that's interesting. From Umbrella Entertainment, which we don't talk about too much on this channel, but I think that is an Australian label. And then our last Kino Lorber release is what I mentioned earlier, the Film Noir box set. They've put out a ton of these box sets. This is the Dark Side of Cinema box set number 18. They have put out 18 of these box sets. I would love to see if anyone has all of these. These are 3 film box sets, 3 noir films. This one includes City of Shadows, Fingerman, and Crash Out. Very, very cool box sets. I love those. Just simple slip cases with 3 standard jewel cases inside, but very nice. Very nice that they go the extra mile putting out those film noir films in very nice releases. And I'm sure they got some extras on there, some supplements as well. That's number 18. So 3 movies in that set from the great Kino Lorber. This is interesting. Another 70s animated film from Discotheque Media. And I'm familiar with Discotheque Media. I don't know if I have any releases from them, but I've looked into them before. This is Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid Blu-ray, and I don't know anything about this. I'm gonna have to look further into this one. It says it's a foreign film. What language is it in? It doesn't say what language it's in, but my kids are huge fairy tale fans and they love animated films. And this looks, just based on the animation style, like something I could show my kids, but I don't want to make that assumption because I don't know for sure. So I'm gonna have to look into this one. Obviously, Little Mermaid, Hans Christian Andersen, everybody knows that story, but I would like to see if this one's a little closer to the actual fairy tale instead of the Disney version. But yeah, it's really cool. Love 70s animation. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Next up, we've got Totally Wired, 3 films from the Nathan Silver. Nathan Silver on Blu-ray. This is a Factory 25, another partner from Vincent. I'm gonna have to start doing like a Vincent exclusive video to handle all these separately because they're completely taking over the entire show. But I think we've made it through everything. There's a couple more here. We've got Carpet Cowboys getting a release from Memory, the label Memory, another partner label, I'm assuming, and this is another documentary. And then we've got, what else here? Anything else that is big and noteworthy? Vinegar Syndrome is putting out Blonde Ambition, a 4K release of Blonde Ambition, which is an erotic musical comedy from 1981. Then we have lots of other stuff here. Oh, The Book of Clarence is getting a release, a very, like, way down the list. This was a new movie that just came out towards the end of last year that seemed pretty interesting to me, but I heard nothing about it. Like, nobody said anything about it. Who's this? Who was in this? I can't remember who was in this. Wow, Benedict Cumberbatch is in this. I did not know that. James McAvoy. I know the lead actor. I think he was in, is it Lakeith Stanfield? He was in... Oh, what is that movie called that I really liked from a couple years ago? I can't remember it right now. But it was a crazy crazy movie that I really liked. But yeah, this looked really interesting, but I heard nothing about it. Like nobody talked about it. I don't know if it just got buried in award season or if it just wasn't that great, if people weren't liking it, but I want to check that one out eventually. That's coming out from Sony Pictures. Like I said, just came out last year, and that's really expensive right now. Wow, $39 on Amazon. There is the exclusive version of All Ladies Do It, which we talked about earlier, that I think is a different slipcover on that version. We've already talked about Night of the Blood Monsters. We've already talked about Snapshot. A couple different releases coming out for these. So I think we've covered everything here. There's a re-release of The Warriors coming out from Arrow. That is probably just a standard release, not the deluxe limited edition slipcase version that we already got a couple months ago. So there is that. If you missed out on the limited edition, you can get the standard release of The Warriors. And I think that is gonna do it. Couple other like super low budget indie films down here. The Royal Hotel, here's a Kino Lorber release. I don't know why this is way down here. This is The Wind of Ayahuasca, a film by Nora de Iscu. Interesting. This is a Kino Classics release. Maybe that's why it's buried down here. Kino Classics, another subsection of Kino Lorber releases from 1983. That's also getting released this week. So we finally did it. We made it through everything. Hopefully I didn't lose you. That was like the longest episode I think we've ever done, but we can finish out the show here. We've got about 10 minutes left. Let's talk in the chat a little bit. If you have any other questions or conversation that you want to have, let me get a little bit of water and then I'll jump right into the last 10 minutes. Whew. That was quite the episode. All right, David Albee, I need a good plane movie flying home this weekend. Plane movie. Well, you have to watch what they have on the plane, right? I guess maybe you could download it on your iPad or something and watch it that way. I don't know what a good plane movie is. Maybe a documentary? I don't like watching like big movies on the plane because I don't have great experiences. I watched something on the plane and I wish I hadn't. What was it? I've watched some like really big movies, like from like Criterion movies on the plane, and I was like, I wish I would have watched that on a big TV because it deserved a better viewing. But maybe go with documentaries on the plane or something that that doesn't really need a big screen. Let's see. Michael Smith, I've seen The Wind. Great Lillian Gish film with a cool visual effects scene involving sand. Ooh, interesting. That's fascinating to me. I love tracking the early days of visual effects. Thank you guys. Thank the few of you who watched my most recent video about Dante's Inferno. I knew that was going to be a very, very niche video and it wasn't going to appeal to a bunch of people, but I wanted to get it out because I thought it was a really cool release and a really cool movie that some people might not like or might not have heard of, and I was happy with the comments. People were excited that I shared that, so I'm glad I did. I probably spent way too much time editing it for a video that was going to get like 250 views, so that's maybe on me, but I'm glad I made the video. It was fun. Bailey Walsh, I made a long list of plane movies. Somewhat recently, my friends and I do top 10 lists, and mine ended up being 42 random movies that I felt would be fun or good for plane rides. Wow. So yeah, get with David. David, get with Bailey. She has a Letterboxd. Have you made that a Letterboxd list yet? Because that sounds like a good Letterboxd list you should do. Evil Wax, the problem with plane movies is that they are usually disaster movies where the plane goes down. I haven't watched it, but Snakes on a Plane has an interesting premise. Yeah, I don't know if you want to watch a movie about planes crashing while you're on a plane. And definitely don't watch that Left Behind movie with Nicolas Cage from like 5 years, 6, 7 years, I don't know when that was. That was a while ago. Grace and I watched that while we were dating, and it was a horrible movie, horrendous movie. Sorry, Nick Cage, that you had to do that one. It must have been one of those ones where you're trying to get out of debt. But whew, that was a doozy. I don't recommend that one. Ethan Edwards, the plane doesn't crash though. He lands the plane, so there's that. Ethan Edwards, most great plane movies have crashes or hijackings. Not great to watch right before you fly. So yeah, everyone's giving you the same advice. Maybe don't go with a plane theme. Dan's Den, the 1970s Little Mermaid is anime European adaptation inspired by the directors. The directors are Japanese. Yeah, I noticed the animation style looked Japanese, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'll have to look into it. Yes, thank you, Dan's Den. Sorry to bother you. That was the movie he was in. Really liked that movie. That was. I've only seen it once, but yeah, it was fun. It was a fun movie. Connor Nielsen, you watched After Sun on the plane, for shame. Yeah, so I told Connor about that. Yeah, I wanted to watch After Sun last year. It was like right before the Oscars, and I hadn't had a chance to see it. I didn't have any way to see it. That was like the only way I could see it. I don't even think it was available for rent yet. But I saw it on there. I watched it on the plane. Not a good movie to watch on the plane. It was, I kind of needed to be more focused to watch that movie. But I still really enjoyed it. I probably would have liked it more, though, if I had watched it at home. WI Watch Guide, did you discuss To Die For? It's a good film. We did talk about that towards the beginning. A lot of people chiming in about that being a great movie coming out from Criterion. So maybe go back to the beginning of the show or just go pick up that release tomorrow. JT, I watched your Dante's Inferno video earlier today. Thoroughly enjoyed it. My copy is due to arrive tomorrow and looking forward to working my way through the 4 versions. Yes, that is a really cool release. There's a ton of different versions. If you didn't watch the video, go watch the video. I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, there's 4 different visual versions, visual restorations of the film, and there's also 4 different audio tracks, 3 of which are musical scores, and one of them is an audio commentary, which is really cool. So that's a great release. That's my first TerrorVision release, but I've been getting some recommendations in the comments of that video for some other TerrorVision releases, so maybe I'll check those out as well. David Albee, not you mentioning the Left Behind remake. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I do not recommend. People recommending some plain films. Your friend Mr. Jones downloaded Wim Wenders Until the End of the World, basically because it's so long, 5 hours, and I get very relaxed. What kind of plane ride were you on that was 5 hours? Was it overseas? That's crazy. That's a really long plane flight. David says the flight's not that long. Okay, we're just devolving into personal conversations. This is basically just a Discord at this point, but we can start wrapping it up. Let's see. Dan Sten says bad movies are meant to watch on a plane. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And David Albee says, I just meant like a fine film that's fun. That's a good 90 minutes. Yeah, that's where I took it. I wasn't thinking you were actually talking about plane-related films. I was just thinking like films that are on a plane, but that went in a very interesting direction that I thoroughly enjoyed, so I don't regret it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Always appreciate talking to you guys. Sorry there wasn't as much engagement tonight. Like I said, so much stuff to get through. It was a huge week for physical media. Hopefully the beginning of April is not that intense and we can have more of a laid back stream, because I love those ones where we talk to each other. I like these ones too because it's cool to see all the great stuff that's coming out and all of the awesome physical media that we're getting. But I need a co-host or like an intermission or something on these crazy weeks, because that was a lot to get through. I was planning on shooting like another video after this because I just got a haul in from Amazon. Amazon, by the way, should have mentioned this at the beginning. I don't know if they still are, but they were having a Shout Select sale on like all of their Shout stuff. So I picked up a few titles. I'm going to be doing a Shout Select haul or sale haul video here in the next couple of days. I was going to record that after this, but I probably won't now because I don't have much of a voice left, because that was a lot of talking. But I'll get that recorded and uploaded in the next couple of days, so look forward to that. I also have another video that is recorded and halfway through being edited that I will get to you this week as well. It's another top 10 video. So stay tuned for those. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the live stream. Love chatting with you guys on here. Everybody is saying goodbye here in the chat. So yes, I will go ahead and say goodbye myself. Thank you for watching live, or if you're watching after the fact, really appreciate it. And you made it this far. If you're watching after the fact and you made it this far, very, very impressive. Please leave me a comment down below if you made it this far, because this is a long episode, and it was mostly just me blabbering the whole time. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and thank you for watching. Until next time, keep collecting physical media, and I'll be back with another one real soon.